Chapter 81. Don't worry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling knew nothing about what happened in Wanbao Pavilion after they left, otherwise, the two of them would definitely slip away faster. Junior brother, tell me the truth, do you know what is in those gambling boxes? Seeing that there was no one around, Zi Shaoling hugged Qiu Lingfeng tightly, leaned close to her body and asked in a low voice. How could I possibly know? It's just good luck. How could Qiu Lingfeng tell the truth? Then, why did you win the top prize twice? Zi Shaoling asked. Luck is such a mysterious thing. Qiu Lingfeng said perfunctorily. Then you took me around those stalls before, and finally went to the one with 50 yuan. How could you be lucky? Zi Xiao said vigorously. If you don't tell me the truth, I'll never talk to you again. Qiu Lingfeng turned a deaf ear and continued walking. Zi Shaoling frowned, let go of her hand, and said. I really ignored you. Qiu Lingfeng left without even looking back. Seeing Qiu Lingfeng walking away, Zi Xiao stamped her feet energetically and chased after him. Junior brother, if you don't tell me, I will ignore you. Really, tell me quickly and I'll give you one last chance. This is really the last chance. If you tell me, I won't ignore you. Zi Shaoling circled Qiu Lingfeng, buzzing like a mosquito. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zi Shaoling funny and said. Senior sister, you told me to ignore me, why are you still talking to me so much? Hearing this, Zi Shaoling raised her eyebrows and said angrily. What do you mean? Do you want me to ignore you? Of course not. Qiu Lingfeng didn't dare to be so stubborn. Then why don't you tell me, do you know what's in those gambling boxes? Zi Shaoling put her hands on her hips and forced him. Qiu Lingfeng felt a headache and had to reply. Senior sister, I am really lucky. I feel that those two gambling boxes are destined to me. Don't you even believe me? Zi Shaoling looked at Qiu Lingfeng for a long time and said dubiously. It seems that you are not going to tell the truth to me. Humph, don't expect me to care about you anymore. After saying that, Zi Shaoling walked away quickly without looking back. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zi Shaoling's leaving figure with some doubts. Could it be that he really did it this time? Should not be. Zi Shaoling isn't so narrow-minded. Just because she hid the fact that she had magical powers, Zi Shaoling was angry and ignored her. After shaking his head, Qiu Lingfeng followed behind Zi Shaoling. With Zi Shaoling's cultivation level, she was naturally aware that Qiu Lingfeng was following her. Qiu Lingfeng followed unhurriedly, which also made Zi Shaoling feel confused. Could it be that she really blamed Qiu Lingfeng wrongly this time? Okay, this possibility should be very high. After all, this junior brother of mine seems to have never hidden anything from him. Thinking like this, Zi Shaoling couldn't help but slow down. Qiu Lingfeng walked to Zi Shaoling and said. Senior sister, why are you walking so slowly? I want you to take care of it. I don't want to care about you now. Let you hide it from me. This is your punishment. Zi Shaoling pretended to be vicious, glared at Qiu Lingfeng, and hummed. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zi Shaoling dumbfounded. What kind of punishment was this? And as soon as he spoke, didn't Zi Shaoling reply to him? Then shall we go back now? Qiu Lingfeng said. I don't want to talk to you. Zi Shaoling tilted her head and hummed softly. Do you want to go back now? Qiu Lingfeng said. With that said, Qiu Lingfeng walked towards the direction of Taishan Sword Academy. You dare! Zi Shaoling was anxious and reached out to hold Qiu Lingfeng. Senior sister, didn't you say you would ignore me? Why are you still stopping me now? Qiu Lingfeng turned around and said with a half-smile. It's not because you are too bad. Zi Shaoling blushed with embarrassment and shouted. You promised to play with me all day today. If you dare to go back now, I will be really angry. Okay, senior sister, where do you want to go now? Qiu Lingfeng nodded and asked. Follow me. Zi Shaoling took Qiu Lingfeng and started walking around Jinlan City. Qiu Lingfeng had no choice but to sacrifice his life to accompany his senior sister. The two of them played in Jinlan City until the evening, and then returned to Taishan Sword Academy exhausted. After returning to the inner courtyard, Qiu Lingfeng simply took a shower and lay on the bed with a tired look on his face. I spent the entire day today hanging out with Zi Xiaoling and almost exhausted Qiu Lingfeng to death. Zi Xiaoling's energy seemed to be infinite and she didn't know how to rest, until the two said goodbye just now. Zi Xiaoling still looked excited. Fortunately, such a day is only today. Qiu Lingfeng said with a tired look. Then, Qiu Lingfeng fell asleep. However, not long after he fell asleep, he felt someone poked him in the face. Don't poke me. Qiu Lingfeng said half asleep. However, the next moment, a faint fragrance came from the tip of his nose, which immediately made Qiu Lingfeng's head perk up. Opening his eyes, Qiu Lingfeng clearly saw the scene in the dark room due to night vision. At this time, Zi Xiaoling was lying next to his bed, poking his face. Senior sister. Why are you here? Qiu Lingfeng almost vomited blood. Now he finally knew why Zi Xiaoling let him live next door to her, because the two small buildings are very close to each other. Zi Xiaoling can easily sneak in as long as the window of Qiu Lingfeng's bedroom is opened. Didn't you agree to stay with me all day today? Zi Xiaoling seemed to be complaining and said in a resentful tone. No, didn't we say goodbye just now? Qiu Lingfeng said speechlessly. Senior sister, I have been with you for so long, can you just let me have a good rest now? No. If you really want to rest, tell me quickly. Do you really know what's in the gambling box? Zi Xiaoling said. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zi Xiaoling and said speechlessly. Senior sister, there are runes on those gambling boxes. How could I possibly know what's inside? I'm really lucky. If you don't believe it, just give Yen back to me. Humph. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about taking back the things you gave me. Zi Xiaoling hummed slightly and said. I said, senior sister, can you go back to your room this late at night? It will not be good for your reputation if word spreads that a man and a woman are alone in the same room late at night. Qiu Lingfeng was really sleepy and said with squinted eyes. Don't worry, I have driven all the disciples in the inner courtyard around here to live elsewhere. No one will find out. Zi Xiaoling patted her small chest and assured. Puff. Qiu Lingfeng was completely speechless. Chapter 82. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If Zi Xiaoling does this, it will be easier for others to suspect. Senior sister, I'm really sleepy. Just let me rest for a while, okay? Qiu Lingfeng said patiently. No, Zi Xiaoling said. If you keep doing this, I will move away. Qiu Lingfeng buried his head in the quilt and said. You can't move. As long as I tell my father, you can never change the house. Zi Xiaoling snorted and said. Then, Zi Xiaoling shook Qiu Lingfeng and said. Junior brother, come quickly and play with me, senior sister. What fun can there be at night? Qiu Lingfeng got out of the quilt speechlessly and said. He was really afraid of Zi Xiaoling. If he had known earlier, he would not have agreed to Zi Xiaoling playing with her today. Unexpectedly, it was already evening and Zi Xiaoling was still pestering him. Well, we can go out and watch the stars together. Zi Xiaoling thought for a moment, pointed outside and said. Okay, yawn. Qiu Lingfeng got up from the bed with a yawn and went out with Zi Xiaoling. Because the disciple building in the inner courtyard has a rooftop, the two of them came to the rooftop together. Wait for me here. After Zi Xiaoling finished speaking, she jumped back to the rooftop on her side, obviously going down to get something. Not long after, Zi Xiaoling brought up a mat and spread it on Qiu Lingfeng's rooftop. Sit down. Zi Xiaoling patted the mat and said to Qiu Lingfeng. Ah. Qiu Lingfeng nodded, took off his shoes, and sat cross-legged. Zi Xiaoling was also sitting on the mat, looking up at the night sky. Hey, junior brother, do you think there are so many stars tonight? Zi Xiaoling looked at the stars and said. However, there was no response from Qiu Lingfeng, and Zi Xiaoling turned her head in confusion. I don't know when Qiu Lingfeng started lying on the mat and fell asleep. Humph. Zi Xiaoling snorted dissatisfied and slapped Qiu Lingfeng awake. What's wrong? Senior sister, Qiu Lingfeng said confusedly. I asked you to come up here to watch the stars with me, why did you still fall asleep? Zi Xiaoling asked. Ahem, I'm watching. I'm watching. Qiu Lingfeng said with a guilty conscience. Get up quickly. Zi Shaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and said. Aha. Qiu Lingfeng climbed up helplessly and looked at the stars and the moon with her. What's so interesting about this? Qiu Lingfeng was speechless, but he didn't say it directly, otherwise Zi Shaoling might run away on the spot. The two of them looked at each other like this for a while, and suddenly a wisp of breeze passed by. Zi Shaoling glanced at Qiu Lingfeng beside her with a reddish face and said. Junior brother, do you feel, it's a bit cold now? Cold? Senior sister, if you feel cold, let's go down now. Qiu Lingfeng's eyes lit up, he suddenly became energetic and said. Zi Shaoling was almost not offended by Qiu Lingfeng. No, I said you have to stay with me today and you can't go down. Zi Shaoling said firmly. Okay. Qiu Lingfeng nodded helplessly and stayed on the rooftop with Zi Shaoling. On the way, Qiu Lingfeng glanced at Zi Shaoling, who seemed really cold, and said. Senior sister, how about I go down and get a blanket to cover you? It is good. Zi Shaoling nodded. After getting Zi Shaoling's permission, Qiu Lingfeng went down to get the blanket. After getting the blanket, Qiu Lingfeng covered Zi Shaoling's body. Junior brother, be careful not to catch a cold. Let's cover this blanket together. Zi Shaoling covered herself with a blanket, opened a corner and said to Qiu Lingfeng. It's okay, senior sister, I'm not cold. Qiu Lingfeng shook his head and said righteously. No, what if you catch a cold? Zi Shaoling raised her eyebrows and said. But I am a Taoist realm warrior, how could I catch cold so easily? Qiu Lingfeng explained quietly. However, as he spoke, Qiu Lingfeng fell silent. Because Zi Shaoling's eyes were so fierce, in order not to get into trouble with this ant, Qiu Lingfeng could only huddle under a blanket with Zi Shaoling. Let me tell you first, you can't mess with me. Zi Shaoling leaned against Qiu Lingfeng and said. Don't worry, sister. Qiu Lingfeng said weakly as his eyelids almost started to fight. After a while, Qiu Lingfeng felt as if his eyelids were filled with lead, as heavy as 1,000 pounds, and he couldn't open them no matter what. Qiu Lingfeng tilted his head and fell asleep against Zi Shaoling's shoulder. Junior brother. Junior brother. But when Qiu Lingfeng's head leaned over, Zi Shaoling's face turned red and she shouted a few words in a low voice. However, after discovering that Qiu Lingfeng was asleep again, he couldn't help but angrily wanted to wake Qiu Lingfeng up. However, looking at Qiu Lingfeng who looked tired, Zi Shaoling still endured it and just let Qiu Lingfeng fall asleep. Forget it, I'll take advantage of you today. I'll settle the score with you later. Zi Shaoling snorted and looked at Qiu Lingfeng, who was sleeping next to her. After a while, Qiu Lingfeng's hands wrapped around Zi Shaoling's slender waist and she fell onto the mat. Zi Shaoling's face turned red with embarrassment, but she was afraid that Qiu Lingfeng would find the ambiguous posture between the two when she woke up, so she could only endure it. Zi Shaoling moved her body and changed into a slightly more comfortable position. After covering herself and Qiu Lingfeng with a blanket, she also fell asleep. After playing for a day, she was quite tired. After being held in Qiu Lingfeng's arms, she felt sleepy. Anyway, Qiu Lingfeng was asleep now, so she might as well sleep here. In his sleep, Qiu Lingfeng couldn't help but hug Zi Shaoling tightly. Zi Shaoling's delicate body trembled slightly, but she didn't resist. Instead, she lowered her head shyly, feeling that her cheeks were extremely hot. Dark clouds gradually covered the starry sky, and Zi Shaoling lay in Qiu Lingfeng's arms and gradually fell asleep. I don't know how long it took. Tick, there was a sound of raindrops hitting the ground. Immediately after, clap la 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 dash that it was pouring rain in the sky. The two people who were sleeping woke up instantly. Senior sister, why didn't you say anything when it started raining? Qiu Lingfeng quickly climbed up from the mat and said. How dare you say that I let you sleep secretly? Zi Shaoling said with a blushing face. Qiu Lingfeng obviously hadn't realized that he was holding Zi Shaoling when he woke up just now, and Zi Shaoling would definitely not tell this. We'd better get down quickly. Qiu Lingfeng said. The two of them just held the blanket, ran down the rooftop, and closed the door. After arriving on the second floor, Qiu Lingfeng turned on the light. At this time, the clothes on his body were already wet, and Zi Shaoling was almost the same. The rain soaked her clothes. outlining Zi Xiaoling's green and tender figure. "Senior sister, do you want to take a shower now?" Qiu Lingfeng glanced at Zi Xiaoling, then looked away and said. "I'm almost a drowned rat." "Do you want me to?" Zi Xiaoling said with a grimace. Just now she was having a dream that made her blush and shy, but she didn't expect it to be interrupted by rain the next moment. Chapter 83, Changing the Communication Watch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Because it was raining heavily outside, Zi Xiaoling took a shower at Qiu Lingfeng's place as an excuse, but because she didn't bring any clothes, Zi Xiaoling and Qiu Lingfeng borrowed another set of clothes. Anyway, disciples' clothing is the same regardless of men's or women's styles. The only difference is the size. "Junior brother, you must not peek." Zi Xiaoling looked at Qiu Lingfeng warily and said. When Qiu Lingfeng heard this, his forehead darkened and he said. "Sister, who do you think I am? If you are worried, I will go down now." "That's not necessary. Anyway, just don't peek." After Zi Xiaoling finished speaking, she carried her clothes into the bathroom. Qiu Lingfeng saw that the door was not closed tightly, so he closed the door for her. Then, Qiu Lingfeng went downstairs, took off his clothes, and started to wipe his body with a towel. Qiu Lingfeng looked down at his body. Although he looked a little thin after putting on clothes, he was actually full of strength and his muscle lines were clearly visible, and this is mostly due to Qiu Lingfeng's predecessor. Before Qiu Lingfeng traveled through time, the owner of his body was almost ready to awaken as a warrior. His physique is already top-notch among ordinary people, and his body is also the result of the accumulated training of his predecessor. Perhaps it's also because his parents in his previous life were both warriors, so he has good genes. After drying his body, Qiu Lingfeng put on a set of clean clothes. Because the inner court disciples' clothes were not enough, Qiu Lingfeng put on the outer court disciples' clothes. From a distance, the clothing of the disciples in the outer courtyard and the inner courtyard do not look much different. But look closely and you can see the difference between the two. The clothes of the disciples in the inner courtyard are obviously more exquisite and made of better materials. Their defensive power is even close to that of first-level armor. They may be able to save their lives at a critical moment. After Zi Xiaoling finished taking a bath, Qiu Lingfeng returned to the second floor. Zi Xiaoling walked out of the bathroom while wiping her hair. Qiu Lingfeng's clothes were obviously much bigger on her body, making Zi Xiaoling, who was already petite, look even smaller. "Junior brother, what time is it now?" Zi Xiaoling asked. Hearing this, Qiu Lingfeng glanced at his watch and said. "It's almost 7 in the morning." "Oh." Zi Xiaoling nodded and said. "Then do you want breakfast?" "I'll have it delivered." "Can you still deliver breakfast?" Qiu Lingfeng said in surprise. "Yes, you can place an order through the communication watch, but there will be an extra delivery fee of points. Zi Xiaoling nodded and said. "Why didn't I find it?" Qiu Lingfeng looked at his communication watch in confusion and asked. He has been looking around 3 times, but he didn't see anywhere where he could order takeout. "Oh, I forgot. Junior brother, your communication watch is just a basic model and does not have these functions." Zi Xiaoling suddenly remembered that Qiu Lingfeng's communication watch was just a gift and said. "So that's how it is." Qiu Lingfeng nodded, feeling more and more that he needed to change his communication watch. There is no way, this gift communication watch, not to mention its functions, becomes an ordinary watch after leaving Jinlan City. "I happen to have a communication watch over there that I replaced a while ago. Junior brother, if you don't mind it, I can give it to you." Zi Xiaoling said again. "Really?" Qiu Lingfeng's eyes lit up and he asked. "A communication watch with multiple functions is not cheap. It costs more than 100 million to buy it from outside. Even in Taishan Sword Academy, it still requires points. Well, don't be embarrassed. You gave me a level 3 weapon. You can just ask me to buy you a new communication watch." Zi Xiaoling patted her chest and said. Because she was wearing Qiu Lingfeng's clothes, she originally looked a little empty, but now she was even more photographed. This situation made Qiu Lingfeng suspicious for a while. It was swollen from being photographed by herself. Then, Zi Xiaoling ordered 2 set meals. Not long after, a disciple braved the pouring rain and delivered a hot meal. Remember to give me a 5-star review, dear. That when Qiu Lingfeng took the takeaway, the disciple showed his big white teeth and said, "Thank you." Qiu Lingfeng thanked him, and then went back to eat with Zi Shaoling. After breakfast, the two of them stayed in the living room on the first floor watching TV. That's right, the inner courtyard disciples' dormitories are also equipped with TVs. But it's chargeable, 10 points per hour. Originally, Qiu Lingfeng wanted to practice hard, but he couldn't resist Zi Shaoling, so he had to accompany her to watch TV here. It wasn't until noon that the rain stopped and the sky cleared up briefly. Zi Shaoling also took this opportunity to return to her dormitory and brought the communication watch she used before. I have to say that Zi Shaoling's communication watch has really many functions. It is much more advanced than Qiu Lingfeng's gift. Communication watch, which only allows payment and text messaging. Not only is it a color high-definition screen, but it also has a series of various functions such as photo and video functions. Moreover, Zi Shaoling has good usage habits. Except for a few slight scratches on the surface of the communication watch, it is basically the same as a brand new one. Hiss. Senior sister, you spent a lot of points on buying this communication watch, right? Qiu Lingfeng took a breath and asked. Not much, just 26 points. Zi Shaoling recalled it and said. Stop talking about this, just put it on and try it. Ah. Qiu Lingfeng took off his communication watch and put on the communication watch Zi Shaoling gave him. What is more surprising is that the color of this communication watch is white and pink, but Qiu Lingfeng didn't care. Pink is a fierce and male color. After putting on this communication watch, Qiu Lingfeng logged in his information. At the same time, the screen of his previous communication watch also popped up asking whether to unbind. The answer is undoubtedly that Qiu Lingfeng will definitely choose to untie. Junior brother, do you want me to change the color for you? Zi Shaoling asked. Does it cost money to change the color? Qiu Lingfeng said. Well, it's quite cheap to replace the case and strap. It only costs, points. Zi Shaoling nodded and said. Hey, let's forget it then. Qiu Lingfeng coughed and said. I think this color is pretty good now. Okay then. Zi Shaoling nodded. Then, Qiu Lingfeng started tinkering with his new watch. Because it is a watch used by Zi Shaoling, the screensaver and wallpaper of this watch are Zi Shaoling's selfies. There are even a bunch of photos of Zi Shaoling in the album. You must not delete these photos, do you understand? That when Zi Shaoling saw Qiu Lingfeng click on the photo album, she felt a little shy and said with a slight blush on her face. It is good. Qiu Lingfeng nodded. Because he is unlikely to use these functions, it doesn't matter to him to keep Zi Shaoling's photo. What's more, this is Zi Shaoling's watch. Chapter 84 How to Go Back. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After getting familiar with the new communication watch, Qiu Lingfeng discovered that his communication watch had no signal. Senior sister, why does my communication watch have no signal? Qiu Lingfeng couldn't help but said doubtfully, logically speaking, except for some extreme areas where there is no network, this communication watch has network in other places. Why does it still show that there is no network connection? Oh, I forgot to tell you, your communication watch was connected to the Academy's internet before, so there was no signal after leaving Taishan Sword Academy. Zi Shaoling explained. The internet of this college is free and open, but these communication watches are different and use the global network, so you need to pay an internet fee of 5,000 yuan per month, or you can choose to use disciple points to pay the internet fee. So it is. Qiu Lingfeng nodded. He was now a millionaire. Following Zi Shaoling's prompts, he paid the internet fee. Okay, I have to say that internet access in this world is really expensive. 5,000 a month is a fee that few in Xingshou village can afford to waste. For the next time, Qiu Lingfeng spent time watching TV with Zi Shaoling. It wasn't until night that Zi Shaoling reluctantly left. Seeing Zi Shaoling leave, Qiu Lingfeng also exhaled. This difficult little senior sister finally left. The weather will be good in the next few days. Let's take this opportunity to go back to Xingmori village. Qiu Lingfeng looked at the weather forecast and thought to himself, he did not forget that he still had the fairy cream in his hand, which was what he wanted to give to Zhanya. with the Xianyan cream, Zhanya may be able to get out of the shadows and regain her confidence. Then, Qiu Lingfeng planned his itinerary. If he relied on his legs alone, it would take him at least half a month to return to the village. Obviously, Qiu Lingfeng would not be stupid enough to walk back. As for the leased warcraft, he didn't even have to think about it, because Qiu Lingfeng didn't have a beast control certificate at all. He couldn't rent a monster, and even if he rented it, he wouldn't be able to control it. Earth monsters are different from ordinary horses. Their destructive power is not at the same level. Without professional and systematic training, a tiny movement can cause the earth monster to lose control and cause a catastrophe. Hiss. Why is it a problem to go back? Qiu Lingfeng scratched his head and ears anxiously. There was no other way. Qiu Lingfeng had no choice but to ask Zi Shaoling for advice. Sister, are you asleep? After some hesitation, Qiu Lingfeng sent a text message, the most beautiful girl in the universe. No, I just took a shower. Junior brother, what do you want from me? You want to ask me to see the stars, right? Sister, why are you thinking about looking at the stars? Qiu Lingfeng thought speechlessly and replied at the same time. It's like this, senior sister, I want to go back to Xingmori village now. If I just walk, it will take me at least half a month to get back. Apart from renting the magic beast, is there any way you can help me get back quickly? After a while, a reply came from Zi Shaoling. I've asked around. There will be an escort team passing through the Balan Mountains the day after tomorrow. You can just go with the escort team. I have already contacted you. All you need to do is go to the West City Gate to meet up with the escort team the day after tomorrow morning. The Balan Mountains are the mountains connected to the Dark Forest. If he were to walk to Xingshou village in the Balan Mountains, with his current strength, he could pass through the Dark Forest in half a day. Thank you, senior sister, Qiu Lingfeng replied excitedly. Zi Shaoling is truly worthy of being the little princess of Taishian Sword Academy. So far, all Qiu Lingfeng's problems are nothing to her, the most beautiful girl in the universe. It's just a small thing. By the way, junior brother, I have one more thing to inform you. Qiu Lingfeng looked at this message with some confusion. He didn't understand what was going on, but he actually asked Zi Shaoling to say the word notice. I will also follow the escort team and return to the village with you. After seeing the message from Zi Shaoling, Qiu Lingfeng finally knew why Zi Shaoling said the word notice. Obviously, Zi Shaoling couldn't tolerate Qiu Lingfeng's rejection. If he had to refuse, he probably wouldn't want to go back with the escort team. Okay, I know. But senior sister, why do you want to go back with me? Qiu Lingfeng asked puzzledly. Because I didn't have enough fun last time I went to Xingmori village, so you have to play with me properly this time. Zi Shaoling said, the last time she went to Xingshou village, she had a mission, and the senior sister who led the team was still senior sister Song, so it was not her turn to make the decision. It can be said that Zi Shaoling didn't get to play it at all last time. However, when Qiu Lingfeng saw this news, he was very speechless. Knew it. My senior sister's head is full of fun. After talking to Zi Shaoling, Qiu Lingfeng was ready to rest. After sleeping until early in the morning, Qiu Lingfeng ordered breakfast after a simple wash. After eating breakfast, Qiu Lingfeng went into the training room. Not long after Qiu Lingfeng entered the training room, Zi Shaoling climbed through the window and slipped into Qiu Lingfeng's bedroom. Originally she ran over to give Qiu Lingfeng a surprise, but after seeing the empty bed, Zi Shaoling looked for Qiu Lingfeng in the dormitory. When she found out that Qiu Lingfeng was actually in the training room, she couldn't help but snorted. Angrily, my junior brother is good at everything, but he always thinks about hiding and practicing. But it's no wonder that his cultivation has progressed so quickly. You obviously practice Moon Will Gong like me, and you can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to increase your cultivation level without any special practice. Why do you still love staying in the practice room so much? Zi Shaoling stood outside the training room and muttered in confusion with her eyebrows furrowed. Then, Zi Shaoling quietly opened the door of the training room. A stream of pure spiritual energy leaked out along the crack of the door. Then, Zi Shaoling dodged and slipped into the practice room. Qiu Lingfeng, who was immersed in practice, obviously didn't realize that Zi Shaoling had come in and was still practicing with his eyes closed. Zi Shaoling hugged her knees and sat face to face with Qiu Lingfeng, holding her cheeks in her little hands. watching Qiu Lingfeng practice. Humph, you leave such a beautiful senior sister alone and only focus on your own cultivation. You, junior fellow apprentice, are so heartless. It's a shame that I treat you so well. Looking at Qiu Lingfeng, Zi Shaoling couldn't help but complain in a low voice. According to the current speed of cultivation, it will take at least a month before the Tao seed can cultivate the fourth crack. This speed is still too slow. Suddenly, Qiu Lingfeng, who was practicing with his eyes closed, began to mutter to himself. Zi Shaoling, who was sitting opposite Qiu Lingfeng, was stunned, her big eyes full of shock. She seemed to have heard something terrible just now. Qiu Lingfeng's Tao seed has been divided into 3 parts now. This cultivation speed is too terrifying. Chapter 85. Follow the Escort team. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then, Qiu Lingfeng opened his eyes. When he found Zi Shaoling sitting in front of him, he was startled at first, then he covered his heart and said speechlessly. Senior sister, when did you come in? You almost scared me to death by not saying a word. Your Taoism has been split into 3 parts now, Zi Shaoling asked. You heard everything. Qiu Lingfeng's head felt heavy and he could only nod his head and said. Yes, I am already a 3rd-level Taoist. Why don't you tell me about such an important thing, Zi Shaoling asked. What's there to say? Qiu Lingfeng said softly, in his opinion, why should he talk so loudly about where his cultivation level is? What good is it if everyone knows about it? Especially ordinary people like Qiu Lingfeng, who don't even dare to fight beyond the level, and only dare to bully warriors of the same realm. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. Qiu Lingfeng looked down at his watch and said. Senior sister, why are you here so early? My training room has just been opened. The most beautiful girl in the universe will transfer you, disciple points. Is that enough? Zi Shaoling said. Come on, come play with me. With that said, Zi Shaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and continued. Anyway, you practice Yueluan Gong like me. You can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to practice without special practice. Why do you have to stay in the practice room? Okay. Qiu Lingfeng felt a headache and could only leave the training room with Zi Shaoling. After playing with Zi Shaoling for another whole day, Qiu Lingfeng lay back on the bed with a tired look on his face. The only thing he was thankful for was that Zi Shaoling finally didn't sneak into his bedroom tonight, let him have a rare peaceful sleep. The next day, it was almost 10 o'clock in the morning. Zi Shaoling and Qiu Lingfeng came to the west gate of Jinlan City together. At the west city gate, you can see a group of people going through the procedures for leaving the city. They are the people from the Jinlan City Escort Bureau, because the application requirements for escorts in the escort agency are not high, as long as they have a cultivation level of Tongmai realm or above. Therefore, you can often see escort personnel going through the procedures for leaving the city at the city gate. Because this profession is very dangerous, the salary of an escort is not low. Basically, you can get tens of thousands of dollars for one escort. The two walked over. Who is the head escort, Wang? Zi Shaoling looked at the escort team members and asked. I am. Are you 2 disciples from the inner courtyard of Taixuan Sword Academy who want to accompany you this time? A middle-aged man with a beard and a heroic face walked over, looked at Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling and asked. The moment she saw the escort, Zi Shaoling's eyes lit up. She didn't expect that escort Wang was quite handsome, but, compared to his junior brother, he seems to be a little less interesting. Ah. Zi Shaoling nodded. One price, 20 million. Wang Biaodo said. It is good. Zi Shaoling transferred the money without saying a word. After the bodyguards with Tongmai realm cultivation completed the procedures for leaving the city, the bodyguard team sorted out their supplies and left the city. During this period, Qiu Lingfeng also used his magical power to check the cultivation of some bodyguards who were above the Tongmai realm. As a bodyguard in the Tongmai realm, he can now tell his specific cultivation level at a glance. As a Taoist realm warrior, he is more sensitive to the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. With just one glance, Qiu Lingfeng could see where the meridians in a Tongmai realm warrior's body were penetrated by spiritual energy. But for Dao Ling realm warriors, he still couldn't tell. Only by using the magical power of identification can he know the specific cultivation level. There are 30 escorts in this escort team, there are 20 Tongmai realm bodyguards, and the rest are Dao Ling realm warriors. Among them, Wang Biaodou is undoubtedly the most powerful. He is a powerful person in the fifth realm of Taoism. He has even formed a Taoist flower. The practice of Dao Lei realm is to nurture Dao buds on Dao trees into Dao flowers. This process may fail. A Tao seed can only have a few Tao buds depending on how many lines it has. The fifth realm of Dao Ling is indeed powerful. After Qiu Lingfeng saw the cultivation strength of Wang Biaodou, he couldn't help but secretly said in shock. What intrigued Qiu Lingfeng the most was the group of people who also followed the escort team. The 9 warriors of the second realm of Taoism have 5 earthly monsters. Only the earth monster in the middle has a sedan chair. And a powerful Taoist realm man is responsible for controlling the earth monster, the other 8 Dao spirit. Realm experts controlled the other 4 earthly demonic beasts to move around the middle earthly demonic beast. What surprised Qiu Lingfeng even more was that the person sitting in this sedan chair turned out to be a frail young man with no cultivation. Senior sister, do you know the group of people behind? Qiu Lingfeng couldn't help but ask. The only ones who can dispatch such a large formation to accompany them are probably the disciples of the big families. I don't know him. He looks very familiar. He should be someone from other towns. But with so many Taoist realm experts accompanying him, his status is certainly not low. Zi Shaoling shook her head. Qiu Lingfeng nodded, wanting to look back at the young man in the sedan. However, he was stopped by the eyes of a powerful Taoist realm man. Qiu Lingfeng withdrew his gaze in embarrassment. When passing by the Kanglan Mountains, Qiu Lingfeng seemed to have remembered something and asked Zi Shaoling. Senior sister, I want to ask you about Dao fruit. Daogua? Why do you ask? Zi Shaoling frowned slightly and asked doubtfully. That's it. Can the Tao fruit in the body of a Tao fruit realm warrior be refined by others to increase his cultivation level? Qiu Lingfeng looked around and asked in a low voice. Of course you can. The Dao fruit is made of pure spiritual power. After refining, it will indeed greatly improve your cultivation. Why do you ask? Zi Shaoling said doubtfully. Also, senior sister, is the powdered Dao fruit used to distinguish the quality of Dao fruit? Qiu Lingfeng continued to ask. Senior brother. After Zi Shaoling was silent for a while, she said. You ask this, do you have a Fenpin Dao fruit in your hand? Ahem, how is this possible? How could I have such a thing? Why do you ask this, senior sister? Qiu Lingfeng said awkwardly. It was also when he was passing by the Kanglan Mountains that he suddenly remembered the pink Dao fruit given to him by the mysterious woman, and he also felt that it was better not to expose this kind of thing. After all, in Qiu Lingfeng's view, something like Dao fruit cannot be taken out in a fair and open manner. Who in their right mind would ask this? Zi Shaoling snorted and said. The market price of one Fenpin Dao fruit is as high as 30 billion. Senior sister, can this kind of thing be traded on the surface? Qiu Lingfeng asked in surprise. Of course. As long as you don't kill someone to steal the Tao fruit, it can be circulated normally on the market. Zi Shaoling's words were astonishing and continued. Dao fruit is divided into 5 grades according to color: jade, green, pink, red, and purple. The darker the color, the more spiritual power it contains, and the higher the price. There are many Dao fruit realm warriors who are living in embarrassment and choose to pick the ripe Dao fruits from their own Dao trees and sell them to use them to make a living. Chapter 86 Encountering Wolves at Night. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sell your own Dao fruit. Qiu Lingfeng was completely refreshed and said in surprise, the Fenpin Dao fruit, which he originally thought was a bit unlucky, turned out to be so fragrant. The mysterious woman gave him 30 billion without blinking an eye. What does it mean to be a real rich woman? That's... Yes, there are even many warriors who specialize in this. There is also a special term called Daiyun Master, which means to cultivate Tao seeds on behalf of others. Zi Shaoling nodded and said. However, although Daiyun's Dao fruit can be circulated on the market, the official does not actually encourage this behavior because it is suspected of objectifying warriors, and some warriors may even be coerced into selling their own Dao fruit. Qiu Lingfeng nodded. Although refining other people's Dao fruit can quickly increase your cultivation level, it also has side effects. Other people's Taoist fruits belong to others and are not cultivated by oneself, so it takes a long time to stabilize one's cultivation, Zhi said. Junior brother, if you really have the Dao fruit, I recommend you to sell it. Don't refine it well. Yes, I understand, Qiu Lingfeng nodded, having made up his mind. System, let me ask you, if I use you to swallow the Dao fruit, will there be any side effects? Qiu Lingfeng asked the system suspiciously. Ding-dong, after using the system to swallow the Dao fruit, there will be no side effects, and there is a probability of obtaining the martial arts skills mastered by the original owner of the Dao fruit. The system responded quickly. Qiu Lingfeng's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that the system was so powerful. After he swallows the Dao fruit, not only does it have no side effects, but it also gives him a chance to obtain the martial arts and techniques mastered by the original owner of the Tao seed. In this case, system, swallow up the pink Taoist fruit in the portable space for me. Qiu Lingfeng thought silently in his heart. Ding-dong, the host successfully swallowed a powdery Dao fruit. The host masters the top-grade water attribute skill Qingyuan Gong. In just an instant, 5 more cracks appeared in the Tao seed in Qiu Lingfeng's body, making him a warrior with 8 cracks in the Tao seed. The powdered Dao fruit embodies the spiritual power and cultivation of a Dao fruit realm warrior. For the current Qiu Lingfeng, the improvement is naturally huge. Kung Fu, Qingyuan Kung Fu, grade, top grade, attribute, water, description. After practicing this technique, your spiritual power reserves will be greatly increased and you will have more lasting combat effectiveness. The disadvantage is that your promotion speed will be slower. Qiu Lingfeng looked at the description of Qingyuan Gong and nodded slightly. Logically speaking, the pink-grade Dao fruit he swallowed would have allowed him to directly become a Dao root realm warrior, but because of this technique, it becomes more difficult for Qiu Lingfeng to advance. That's why he is only at the 8 levels of Dao Zhong. However, Qiu Lingfeng is very satisfied with this kind of improvement. Along the way, relying on the speed of the Earth Warcraft, the Escort team escaped many troubles and avoided many unnecessary battles. It wasn't until night that everyone stopped. You two can live in the same tent, it's not enough. After eating and drinking, Wang Biao turned to Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling and said, well. Qiu Lingfeng nodded awkwardly. Zi Shaoling didn't pay too much attention to it. Anyway, it was not like she had never slept with Qiu Lingfeng before. Because of the Escort team, Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling were not needed for the night vigil. The two of them can take a good rest and regain their strength. Senior sister, how about you sleep in the tent tonight while I practice outside? Qiu Lingfeng scratched his nose and said. How can this be done? It's too dangerous outside. You might go crazy. You'd better come in and rest with me. After all, when we looked at the stars together a few days ago, didn't we count as sleeping together? Zi Shaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and said. Or, are you full of bad thoughts and want to do random things to me? Do you have a guilty conscience? Of course not. Qiu Lingfeng sat upright, walked upright, and looked upright. Then come in together. After Zi Shaoling finished speaking, she got into the tent. After Qiu Lingfeng hesitated outside, he also got in. As promised beforehand, you can't cross this line tonight. Zi Shaoling used her clothes to draw a line between the two of them and said. It is good. Qiu Lingfeng nodded, turned around and fell asleep. Not long after, the sound of even breathing came from Qiu Lingfeng's side. Zi Shaoling even opened her eyes in disbelief, because none of the scenes in her mind that made her breath short and her heartbeat quicken happened. She turned her back angrily and closed her eyes again. Ouch! 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 In the middle of the night, wolf howls suddenly came from outside the tent. Such a sound instantly woke up Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling. Qiu Lingfeng rushed out of the tent and used night vision to clearly see the surrounding situation. There were dozens of densely packed demon wolves surrounding the camp. A pair of green, animalistic pupils stared at him, making people's scalp numb. Identification. Xiu Lingfeng thought silently in his heart. Moon-chasing wolf, a first-level elite monster. Moon-chasing wolf, second-level elite monster. Moon-chaser wolf. At a glance, they were all first- and second-order elite monsters. At this time, the few earth monsters in the camp were trembling with fear and did not dare to move at all. In big trouble. Xiu Lingfeng narrowed his eyes and said. At this time, Zi Shaoling also came out. When she saw a large group of moon-chasing wolves around her, her expression also changed. Moon Wolf King, 6th-level elite monster. Among the moon-chasing wolves, there was also a huge wolf king with bright silver hair. The 6th-level elites, whose level is even more terrifying, can already rival the powerful ones in the 6th realm of Daoling. When Biao Wang looked at the large group of moon-chasing wolves around him, his expression also changed suddenly, and he did not dare to show any slightness. All personnel, prepare to fight and protect the cargo, that the head escort Wang shouted. Then, there were escorts who protected Xiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling. The 9 Taoist realm followers of the frail young man also protected the young man in the middle with serious expressions. Xiu Lingfeng took out his dagger and walked out, guarding the wolves with the bodyguards. Zi Shaoling also slowly drew out the sword from her waist to guard against the wolves. Why did so many wolves suddenly appear? Xiu Lingfeng asked with a frown. I don't know. Monsters couldn't appear here in the past. We have camped near here more than once. Why is it different this time? An escort also said in confusion. Chapter 87. This guy is too fierce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But the current situation no longer allows everyone to think so much. All everyone can do is fight. This group of moon-chasing wolves has surrounded the entire camp, and escaping is already impossible. Xiu Lingfeng gradually tightened his grip on the dagger in his hand, watching these moon-chasing wolves with sharp eyes. Now he is strong enough to kill the moon-chaser wolf instantly. But the current number of moon-chasing wolves is so terrifying that even he can only treat them with caution. Zi Shaoling came behind Xiu Lingfeng and whispered. Junior brother, how many moon-chasers can you freeze? I don't know. I haven't tried so many moon-chasers yet, but they definitely consume a lot of money on me. Xiu Lingfeng shook his head and said solemnly. Roar! A moon-chasing wolf couldn't hold it any longer and tentatively rushed toward an escort. The bodyguard had long been prepared to meet the enemy. He stepped forward and suddenly rushed out. The long knife in his hand also drew a trace like the moon in the air. The long knife cut open the moon-chaser wolf's fur, but it only cut a faint blood mark. The Zhuyue wolf has rough skin and thick flesh, and ordinary sharp weapons cannot cause much damage. At the same time, the armor on the bodyguard's chest was scratched with a string of sparks by the moon-chaser wolf's claws, and then blood spurted out. The escort hurriedly retreated, clutching his chest, obviously suffering a lot of injuries. Xiu Lingfeng looked at the bodyguard and silently put away his dagger. Even if the bodyguard's long sword was like this, his dagger couldn't even break through the defense of these moon-chasing wolves. I am afraid that the only weapon on the field that can easily break through the moon-chaser wolf's defense is Yan Yan in Zi Shaoling's hand. I obviously don't want to be exposed anymore. Xiu Lingfeng took a deep breath and said secretly. Then, he held his right hand, and a huge weapon and ruler appeared in his hand. It was the ancient mysterious ruler placed in his personal space. The ancient mysterious ruler is huge and heavy. Xiu Lingfeng has always kept it in his portable space. The last time I used the ancient mysterious ruler in front of others was in Finyan Stone Forest. Xiu Lingfeng is now at the 8th level of Taoism. With the blessing of the star domination body, his physical strength has reached a terrifying 5 kilograms. Now, he can use the ancient mysterious ruler very easily. Junior brother, where did you summon this heavy ruler from? Zi Shaoling said doubtfully. My other magical talent is the ability to summon this heavy ruler. I didn't want to expose it at first, but now that things have happened, I have no choice but to bring it out. Xiu Lingfeng explained. He also used this excuse last time. No wonder, you learned heavy ruler martial arts. It turns out it's because of your magical talent. Zi Shaoling suddenly realized this, but suddenly, she pouted and said aggrievedly. Junior brother, I didn't expect you to hide so many secrets from me. Do you really have me as a senior sister in your heart? Cough cough. Qiu Lingfeng almost stumbled and fell to the ground. In this situation, is this the time to ask this question? Of course there is. After Qiu Lingfeng finished speaking, he used swift shadow step and headed toward several moon-chasing wolves. These moon-chasing wolves have rough skin and thick flesh, and sharp weapons cannot cause effective damage, but the ancient mysterious ruler, which is a blunt weapon, can. The lethality of blunt weapons is related to strength, with Qiu Lingfeng's current strength, plus the weight of the ancient mysterious ruler itself, which weighs 1,000 kilograms, the destructive power caused by Qiu Lingfeng's swing is very terrifying. Crack the earth and cover the sea. That because of his magical power of night vision, Qiu Lingfeng's combat effectiveness was not weakened by the night at all. Coupled with the speed boost of swift shadow step, Qiu Lingfeng nimbly shuttled among the moon-chasing wolves. Ow! Roar! The two moon-chasing wolves wanted to flank Qiu Lingfeng, but Qiu Lingfeng had already expected it, and a vertical eye appeared between his eyebrows. Frozen Sky Eyes. Click. Under the moonlight, two lifelike moon-chasing wolf ice sculptures appeared. Bang! The heavy ruler was swung, the ice sculpture instantly turned into ice crystals all over the sky. Hey, isn't this kid too fierce? All the escorts couldn't help but take a breath. They never expected that Qiu Lingfeng could summon weapons and freeze monsters out of thin air. Qiu Lingfeng turned out to be a warrior with magical talents. In just a few breaths, Qiu Lingfeng killed 5 moon-chasing wolves. Facing monsters of the same level, he can basically kill them instantly. Qiu Lingfeng slowly straightened up, put the ancient Xian ruler on his shoulder, and said silently in his heart. Swallow. Ding dong, the host devoured 5 first-order elite monsters, the moon-chasing wolf, and gained 2,500 devouring points. Ow! Moon Wolf King looked at Qiu Lingfeng, his eyes full of anger. It can be seen that Qiu Lingfeng's strength far exceeds that of warriors of the same level. Besides that, there is Zhi Shaoling possesses level 3 weapons with equally terrifying lethality. However, because Wang Biaodou is blocking it, it cannot kill Qiu Lingfeng and Zhi Shaoling now, the two people who pose the greatest threat to its subordinates. However, although it was blocked by Wang Biaodou and could not approach the battle circle of Qiu Lingfeng and others, it would not take long before Wang Biaodou would die in its mouth, because Wang Biaodou is just a warrior of Dao Leihua, and it is a 6th-level elite monster. The gap between the two is very big. Even if Wang Biaodou can compete with it for a few rounds now, he will still lose after a long time. After the Moon Wolf Pack heard the roar of the Moon Wolf King, they stopped attacking Qiu Lingfeng and the others. Instead, they turned around and attacked the weakest ones. After practicing Qingyuan Gong, although Qiu Lingfeng's promotion speed has slowed down and the amount of spiritual energy required is larger, Qiu Lingfeng's spiritual power reserves have indeed increased several times. Now Qiu Lingfeng's spiritual power is almost comparable to that of a 3rd-level Dao Ling warrior. Therefore, even if Qiu Lingfeng now eliminates 5 moon-chasing wolves, his consumption is not great and he still has a combat power close to the peak. First deal with these moon-chasing wolves, and then kill the Moon Wolf King. Qiu Lingfeng thought to himself, then his figure flashed and he started to kill the other moon-chasing wolves. Others don't have Qiu Lingfeng's terrifying fighting power. Even when facing the moon-chasing wolf of the same level, they can only struggle against it, let alone kill it. Qiu Lingfeng thought, and a fiery red flame orb condensed in the palm of his hand. Everyone, be careful, Qiu Lingfeng shouted, and then a vertical eye appeared between his eyebrows, a beam of cold light passed by, and most of the moon-chasing wolf was frozen. At the same time, the flame orb in Qiu Lingfeng's hand also flew towards the group of moon-chasing wolves. Bang! The next moment, the flame orb exploded, forming a terrifying sea of fire. Some of the more seriously injured and weak moon chasers could not withstand the flames and died on the spot. Only the powerful moon chaser wolf managed to withstand the fierce fire and rushed out of the sea of fire, but he also suffered serious injuries. The soft and shiny hair on his body also became burnt black, which was very ugly. The terrifying number of wolves was reduced to only a dozen or so in the blink of an eye. Swallow. Qiu Lingfeng thought silently in his heart, and at the same time felt dizzy. He hurriedly exchanged a yuan-sustaining pill from the system mall and took it. In just one breath, Qiu Lingfeng returned to his peak state. Chapter 88 Mastering the Mysterious Fire Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding Dong, the host devoured 8 first-order elite monsters, the moon-chasing wolf, and gained 4,000 devouring points. Ding Dong, the host devoured 3 second-level elite monsters, the moon-chasing wolf, and gained 3,000 devouring points. In an instant, Qiu Lingfeng's devouring point was about to exceed, the fastest way to obtain devouring points is to devour monsters. Junior brother, what did you throw out just now? Xiaoling ran over in surprise and asked. She never thought that the flame orb Qiu Lingfeng threw just now was actually his magical talent, the Divine Flame Burning the Sky. This magical talent consumes a lot of money on Qiu Lingfeng, and what matches it is its terrifying killing range. If I said that was my last magical talent, would you believe it? Qiu Lingfeng coughed and said, he said the word last very hard. Humph. If you don't want to say it, forget it. Senior sister, I don't care about you. Xiaoling snorted and said. The remaining few surviving moon chasers were quickly killed by Qiu Lingfeng and others. At this point, except for the Moon Wolf King, all the other moon-chasing wolves were killed. The escort team also suffered heavy losses, with 8 Taoist realm masters killed in battle, including the bodyguard of a frail young man. Only 2 of the bodyguards in the Tongmai realm were dead. He's so strong, that the frail young man looked at Qiu Lingfeng, his eyes filled with light. Cough cough cough. However, in his excitement, he couldn't help but cough a few times. The bodyguard beside him saw this and hurriedly took out the medicine spray, which finally stopped the frail boy's cough. Next, we just need to deal with the last Moon Wolf King. Qiu Lingfeng stared at the Moon Wolf King. Wang Biaodou is undoubtedly the best among his peers, otherwise he would not have been able to endure for so long under the hands of the Moon Wolf King, who is 1 level above him. Of course, Escort Wang's current appearance is also very miserable, covered in blood and his clothes are in tatters. With my current strength, even if I use all my magical powers and talents, I don't have much chance of winning. Qiu Lingfeng began to estimate the gap between himself and the Moon Wolf King. Even though he has 9 times the strength of a warrior of the same level, he still cannot compare with the Moon Wolf King. Even if he used the giant claw to enhance his own strength, he still couldn't compare with the Moon Wolf King. The gap between the two is really huge. You guys run quickly. That when the escort leader Wang saw Qiu Lingfeng and others finishing off the Zhuiyue wolves, he shouted. Hearing this, the escorts began to pack their luggage, even ignoring the piles of corpses of monsters on the ground. Because of the Zhuiyue wolves, there were only 6 earth monsters left in the escort team. Moreover, 4 of the earthly demonic beasts were the weak boy's own earthly demonic beasts. Are we leaving now? Don't you care about Mr. Wang? Qiu Lingfeng asked suspiciously when he saw the escorts leaving so decisively. What can we change if we stay? A Taoist realm bodyguard covered in blood said seriously. From the moment we pick up the escort, the meaning of life is to deliver the escort safely to the destination. The Wolf King is a 6th level elite monster, and the dart head can't hold it for long. All we can do now is to carry the dart as far as possible. I know that your strength is much stronger than your realm, but so what? If it weren't for the escort leader struggling to support himself, the Moon Wolf King would have killed all of us in just one face-to-face meeting. After he finished speaking, the escort team also packed up their goods. Brother, let's go too. Xiaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng's sleeve and whispered. It was not difficult for Qiu Lingfeng to hear the sadness in her tone. Let's go. Let's go. If we don't leave, none of you will be able to leave. Bouncer Wang turned around and shouted loudly. Originally, he planned to prepare for the annihilation of the entire army, but he never expected that Qiu Lingfeng would kill most of the moon-chasing wolf, giving others a chance to escape. The current situation is enough for him. At least someone survived, and someone was able to deliver the dart to its destination. No, I have to try. Qiu Lingfeng held the ancient mysterious ruler in his hand and ran away unwillingly. Try and die, an escort said. Frozen Sky Eyes. Qiu Lingfeng kept trying to dissuade him, and a vertical eye appeared between his eyebrows. The cold light swept over the Moon Wolf King's body, only causing fleeting ice crystals to appear on his body. The difference in strength was too great, and the Frozen Sky Eyes could not freeze the Moon Wolf King's figure. Let's go. Zi Shaoling pulled Qiu Lingfeng and jumped onto the Earth warcraft. Before Qiu Lingfeng could react, the Earth monster quickly moved away from the camp. The figures of Wang Biaodou and Moon Wolf King fighting were constantly being pulled down. What? Suddenly, a painful wail came from Escort Wang's head. After a closer look, he finally fell down from exhaustion after Qiu Lingfeng and others left. The Moon Wolf King also seized the opportunity and instantly tore a hole in the abdomen of Wang Biaodou, and blood mixed with internal organs spattered messily. That when all the bodyguards saw the tragic death of Mr. Wang, they finally couldn't control their emotions and burst into tears. Even Qiu Lingfeng felt very depressed, powerless. I want to struggle but I don't even have the ability to struggle. Although in his memory, Qiu Lingfeng also had such powerless moments, but this is the first time Qiu Lingfeng has experienced this kind of moment personally, and everything before was the memory of his predecessor. Call. Qiu Lingfeng took a long breath and clenched his fists. I'm really too weak. Qiu Lingfeng thought to himself, there is only one way to avoid dying miserably, that means practicing hard. This time when I return to Gestalt Guard village, I will practice in seclusion. Qiu Lingfeng has made up his mind. The morning sun gradually rose, and many people in the escort team had disappeared. Everyone's appearance was a bit messy, and some of the escorts even had their eyes red and swollen from crying. Although Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling felt uncomfortable, they quickly came out of the shadows because they had no feelings for the escort. The system will add some mysterious fire skills to me. First add 10 levels. Qiu Lingfeng paused for a while and then said, Ding Dong, the host has mastered the 10th level of the mysterious fire technique, which consumes 1,000 devouring points. Even if he consumed 1,000 devouring points, Qiu Lingfeng still had 8,280 devouring points. Qiu Lingfeng, who had mastered the 10-level mysterious fire technique, finally understood the power of this martial art. This martial skill allows Qiu Lingfeng to control fire, and it can also increase the power of fire. The higher the number of layers you master, the more powerful the improved flames will be, making it easier to control the flames. Chapter 89 Return to Xingshou Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It lasted 3 days. Everyone finally arrived at the Bailin Mountains. When the escort team reached this point, 12 people were killed, including the leader of the escort team. If it weren't for the wolves they encountered on the first night, the escort team's losses wouldn't have been so heavy. You two have arrived at your destination, let's say goodbye. An escort from the 3rd level of Daoling slightly cupped his fists towards Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling, with no trace of fluctuation on his face, except for the escort leader Wang. He is the strongest person in the escort team, and he is currently in charge of the entire escort team. Since the death of Wang Biaodou, the atmosphere in the entire escort team has become less lively. Goodbye by chance. Qiu Lingfeng also clasped his fists and said goodbye to everyone in the escort team. Then, Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling rushed towards the dark forest. Passing through the dark forest, you will find the village of Kayamori. Because Qiu Lingfeng was already a Taoist realm warrior when they walked through the dark forest this time, the two of them walked very fast. In less than half a day, they had arrived outside Xingshou village. After nearly 3 months away, Xingshou village has changed quite a bit. The fence used to isolate the monsters outside the village has been replaced with a new one. From a distance, you can see the patrol team getting ready and preparing to go on patrol. There are many familiar faces among the patrol team, all of whom are Qiu Lingfeng's classmates. The classmates who have not seen each other for several months and have become warriors have basically become second-level warriors in Tongmai realm, without the assistance of martial arts, relying solely on the body's instinct to absorb spiritual energy and penetrate the meridians is very slow, and the higher the realm, the slower the speed. The only thing that surprised Qiu Lingfeng was that Wang Lu, the captain of the patrol, actually penetrated the 6 main meridians and became a 6th-level warrior in the Tongmai realm. Qiu Lingfeng. Why are you back? Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Shaoling met the patrol team members, and Wang Lu immediately said in shock. Uncle, hello. Zi Shaoling also waved to Wang Lu and said with a smile. You just saw junior brother, didn't you see me? Ling Feng, why did you come back? There have been a lot more monsters in the dark forest recently. Were you okay when you came here? Zhang Yu was also wearing the uniform of the patrol team. He was short in stature, but he had a rare appearance of bravery, and his cultivation level is already at the second level of Tongmai realm. No, we were safe when passing through the dark forest. Qiu Lingfeng laughed and said, under the release of his and Zi Xiaoling's spiritual power, how could any slave-level monster dare to show its face? That's good. Zhang Yu nodded and breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, we're going to start patrolling. You guys have to catch up on old times. We'll catch up on them tonight. Wang Lu said seriously. Hearing this, Qiu Lingfeng pulled Zi Xiaoling out of the way. Captain, you must pay attention to safety when patrolling. Qiu Lingfeng said. Ah. Wang Lu nodded and left with a group of patrol members. Before leaving, Yi Qing also cast an ambiguous look at Qiu Lingfeng and Zi Xiaoling. The look in his eyes seemed to be saying, you are so good, but you actually picked up a girl from Jinlan City. Where are we going now? Zi Xiaoling glanced at the little hand held by Qiu Lingfeng, her face turned red, and she asked. Go back to the blacksmith shop. Qiu Lingfeng had already taken out the fairy cream from his pocket and put it in his backpack. The last time Zi Xiaoling came to Xingshou village, she didn't go out for a walk. This is a rare trip back with Qiu Lingfeng, so naturally I want to bring back all the shopping I did last time. Then after you're done, take me to play in Xingshou village. Zi Xiaoling said. It is good. Qiu Lingfeng thought for a while and nodded in agreement. The two of them just crossed the fence and entered Xingshou village. Qiu Lingfeng saw the figures of three people not far away. Taking a closer look, the good guys are Wang Min, Zhou Wen and Zhou Xiaofan. The three of them were talking and laughing, holding hands, looking emotionally intimate. I don't know what's going on with Zhang Yu and her now. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Wang Min and his forehead darkened. Although he knew Wang Min was unreliable from the beginning, he didn't expect Wang Min to be so courageous. In broad daylight, under the bright sky, he was so close to Zhou Wen and Zhou Xiaofan in public. After shaking his head, Qiu Lingfeng took Zi Xiaoling back to the blacksmith shop. All the way away, Qiu Lingfeng heard the clanging sound of iron coming from the blacksmith shop. Zi Xiaoling also poked her head out and looked towards the blacksmith shop. When she saw Zhang Daniu, who was muscular, her eyes immediately locked, then his face turned red and he looked away in embarrassment. Uncle Zhang, I'm back. Qiu Lingfeng walked into the blacksmith shop and shouted loudly, clang. When Zhang Daniu heard this, he raised his head and the hammer in his hands suddenly stopped. Ling Feng, why are you back? Didn't you go to Jinlan City? Zhang Daniu asked in a panic. You must have offended the big shot over there and were driven back, right? Hearing this, Qiu Lingfeng shook his head and laughed, saying. Uncle Zhang, you have too much imagination, don't you? Don't worry, I am doing well in Jinlan City. I just want to come back here and have a look. Uncle Zhang, this is my senior sister, Zi Xiaoling. Then, Qiu Lingfeng pointed at Zi Xiaoling who was hiding behind him and introduced. Senior sister, this is Uncle Zhang, Zhang Daniu, who raised me. Qiu Lingfeng said to Zi Xiaoling again. Hello, Uncle Zhang. Zi Xiaoling was unusually reserved, as if she was embarrassed to face Zhang Daniu. Hello. Zhang Daniu scratched his hair and said to Qiu Lingfeng. Ling Feng, hurry up and take your senior sister to sit in the backyard. It's too dirty in front. Okay. Qiu Lingfeng nodded and took Zi Xiaoling to the back of the blacksmith shop. Senior sister, what's wrong with you? Why are you so nervous when you see Uncle Zhang? This isn't like you. Qiu Lingfeng naturally noticed what was strange about Zi Xiaoling just now and asked doubtfully. Well. I want you to take care of it. Zi Xiaoling was embarrassed to say it and was vague. Qiu Lingfeng shrugged and paid no more attention. After bringing Zi Xiaoling to the living room, Qiu Lingfeng poured tea for Zi Xiaoling. Senior sister, please wait for me here for a while. I'll go and come back. I'll pay for the loss first. If there's not enough tea, please bring it yourself. Qiu Lingfeng said to Zi Xiaoling awkwardly. Well, let's go. Zi Xiaoling nodded slightly and played with the communication watch on Hao's wrist. Her communication watch is a higher level than the communication watch she gave Qiu Lingfeng. It already has many entertainment functions, which is very suitable for her to use to pass her boring leisure time. After getting Zi Xiaoling's consent, Qiu Lingfeng got up and went to Zhangye. Chapter 90, Careless Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside Zhangye's room, Qiu Lingfeng knocked on the door. Not long after, Zhangye opened the door. Lingfeng. Why are you back? That the moment Zhangye saw Qiu Lingfeng, she couldn't help but exclaimed. Because I missed you, Sister Xiaoya, so I came back. Qiu Lingfeng leaned against the door frame and said with a silly smile. Glib tongue, did you get into trouble outside? Were you driven back? Zhangye's face turned red and she asked worriedly. Sister Xiaoya, am I so bad in your heart? Qiu Lingfeng said speechlessly. Why did Zhangye and Zhang Dainyu both think that he ran back to Xingshou village because he got into trouble in Jinlan city? Of course not, then why are you back? Zhangye said hurriedly. I told you, I will only come back if I miss you. Qiu Lingfeng said truthfully. If I have anything worth thinking about, you just know how to trick me into making me happy. Zhangye naturally didn't believe Qiu Lingfeng's words and lowered her head slightly. Okay, Sister Xiaoya, I have something for you. As Qiu Lingfeng spoke, he wanted to take out the fairy cream from his backpack and give it to Zhangye. You have just come back. You have been traveling all the way and are tired from the journey. Do you want me to put some water for you to take a bath first? Zhangye interrupted Qiu Lingfeng and asked. Qiu Lingfeng shook his head and said. Miss Xiaoya. However, before Qiu Lingfeng finished speaking, Zhangye exclaimed and said anxiously. Lingfeng, why are you injured here? Come on, let me see. While talking, Zhangye lifted the corner of Qiu Lingfeng's clothes. I saw a scar on Qiu Lingfeng's waist that had already scabbed. This was the wound left by a bear-shaped monster that accidentally attacked him yesterday. Just now, when Qiu Lingfeng wanted to take out the fairy cream, he accidentally exposed this wound, and it was instantly discovered by the sharp-eyed Zhangye. Sister Xiaoya, this is just a minor injury, it's okay. Qiu Lingfeng explained. What a small injury. Such a big wound, and you still say it's okay? Zhangye glared at Qiu Lingfeng angrily and said. Come on, follow me into the house. Zhangye said, pulling Qiu Lingfeng into her room. Sit tight for me. Zhangye pressed Qiu Lingfeng on the chair and put his backpack on the ground. Zhangye took out the small medicine box and began to give Qiu Lingfeng medicine. Sister Xiaoya, you don't have to worry so much. With my current physique, this wound is really a minor injury to me. Qiu Lingfeng said dumbfounded. Shut up. Are you aware of your injury or am I aware of it? Zhangye said angrily. After a while, Zhangye finished giving Qiu Lingfeng the medicine. Qiu Lingfeng could only turn sideways and tried to take out the fairy cream from his backpack. Don't move, just sit tight for me. Zhangye interrupted Qiu Lingfeng directly and said. Just tell me what you want to find and I'll get it for you. Okay, Sister Xiaoya, help me bring out a small black box. Qiu Lingfeng nodded helplessly and said. Zhangye rummaged in his backpack for a while and found the immortal cream. What is this that you want to take out so badly? Zhangye handed the fairy cream to Qiu Lingfeng and asked doubtfully. Qiu Lingfeng looked at Zhangye and smiled. What do you see me doing? Zhangye's face turned red when Qiu Lingfeng stared at her, and she turned her face away, trying not to let Qiu Lingfeng see the scarred half of her face. This is your gift to Sister Xiaoya. Qiu Lingfeng said, and then handed the fairy cream to Zhangye with his own hands. Gift? Zhangye frowned in confusion, took the fairy ointment, and opened the small box. What I saw inside was white ointment with a light fragrance. Is this a facial cream or something? What are you doing for me? I can't use it now. Zhangye said in confusion. This is an ointment for scar removal. Qiu Lingfeng explained. I bought it just for you. Then, Qiu Lingfeng looked into Zhangye's eyes and said sincerely. Sister Xiaoya, I hope this gift can make you as happy as before. Also, no matter what you become, you will still be the Miss Xiaoya in my heart. Zhangye lowered her head slightly, her eyes slightly red. I wanted to cry but I held myself back from crying. Qiu Lingfeng hugged Zhangya in time and whispered in her ear. Sister Xiaoya, do you still like this gift? Zhangya struggled for a while, and finally her body softened and she nodded slightly. Then I will help you apply the medicine now. You sit still and don't move. Qiu Lingfeng took the fairy cream from Zhangya's hand and said. But your injury. Zhangya was still a little worried. Sister Xiaoya, my current strength has exceeded your imagination. Don't worry, this is really just a minor injury to me. Qiu Lingfeng played for sure, and then said. Sister Xiaoya, close your eyes and I'll help you apply the medicine to see the effect. Ah. Zhangya nodded and began to look forward to it. Over the years, she had never thought about getting rid of the scars on her face, but no matter what method she tried, it didn't work. Now that Qiu Lingfeng had brought back the scar-removing ointment from Jinlan City, she was not only moved but also relieved. Qiu Lingfeng reached out and scraped a little ointment from the box of Xianyan ointment, and then his face suddenly turned dark. Gone. He was careless again. Because this was a gift he bought specifically for Zhangya, he never opened it once. This was the first time he opened it and used it, so he didn't know it before. Although the box looks quite big and thick from the outside, the amount of Xianyan cream seems to be quite large, but when he scraped it all the way to the bottom. The fairy cream only has a thin layer on top. Only use the amount once. 12 points can only be used once. The price of this fairy cream is beyond Qiu Lingfeng's imagination. Although he was bleeding from heartache, Qiu Lingfeng could only ignore the pain and began to apply the fairy cream on Zhangya. As soon as the Xianyan cream was applied to her face, Zhangya felt a numb and itchy feeling on her face. Because the fairy cream is ridiculously expensive, Qiu Lingfeng applied it with great care, fearing to waste any trace of it. Sister Xiaoya, how do you feel now? Qiu Lingfeng asked. I've never felt anything like this before, my face is numb and itchy. Zhangya said. Then, Qiu Lingfeng stared at Zhangya's face without blinking. I saw that the color of the white fairy cream became lighter and lighter, and the color of the sudden scar on Zhangya's face gradually faded, and the scar gradually returned to the appearance of normal skin. The reason why Xianyan cream is ridiculously expensive is because of its ridiculous ability to remove scars. Seeing this scene, Qiu Lingfeng finally felt relieved.